In solo leveling, after Jin-Ho was getting tortured by Hwang Dong-Soo and his lackeys in order to find out the truth about his brother's murder, he responded telling them to go fuck themselves, which infuriated Dong-Soo, making him slam his head against the steel pillar hard ASF for his answer. The guy in the back warned Dong-Soo to be careful since he didn't want to deal with murder just for money. He responded saying he'd be careful of that, and asked if they should get started. The guy in the back questioned if he hadn't found out enough from him already, but Dong-Soo responded asking what he was talking about since this was only the beginning. He suddenly noticed something strange out of the corner of his eyes as a shadow soldier stood there just watching. Dong-Soo started taking off his jacket as the hunters in the back questioned if a dungeon break had occurred nearby or something. But seeing how the orc was shaking in its boots, they thought he must have been shitting in his pants, seeing Hwang Dong-Soo's immaculate aura. He suddenly launched a punch towards the soldier, saying he didn't have time to mess around. And as the orc was about to receive the impact, a command came across its mind which said, "Exchange." Back in Korea, Sung Drip-Woo's mom and sister are chilling on the couch as his mother worried about how he was doing. Baru in the back stated that if there was anything that Drippy-Woo could not withstand, then nobody in this world would be safe from it. The news of Rizzy-Woo's arrival hit Korea, making both Gina and his mother surprised since they could finally see him. Baru suddenly felt a shock of energy course through his being, stating that he had only felt this feeling once before. The king is enraged. Shadow Soldier suddenly appeared out of nowhere, just standing there trembling not because of Dong-Soo, but because of something else. Baru's body started shaking as well, saying he had only felt this feeling once before, stating that the king was enraged. Back in Korea, where the Knights Guild can be seen preparing for a dungeon raid, Yoon-tae suddenly gasps while staring at the ground, making the guild master Jong-soo question what was he on about. The terrified Yoon-tae tried to explain that the shadows under his feet suddenly started to tremble, making Jong-soo ask him how many times had he told him not to drink before a raid. Yoon-tae responded shouting that he hadn't had a single drop today and that the shadows really started trembling just now, as if they were alive, but Jong-soo still didn't believe him, telling him he should take a break today. Back in America, as a convoy of vehicles drive through the road, Thomas Andre, the national level hunter, shouts, telling the driver to stop the car, furious about the fact that it had already begun. Andre suddenly kicks the car's door, sending it flying, and jumps down to the highway, shouting that he would be going ahead, commanding them to follow him as fast as they could, crushing the ground and taking a huge leap towards the city. The agents are left dumbfounded and worried about the fact that they're going to be flooded with damage compensation invoices the next day. Hwang Dong-Soo suddenly gets a devastating blow to the side of his stomach, making the hunters standing right in front of the scene unable to comprehend the situation. The beaten Jin-Ho sits there smiling since his daddy had finally arrived. The punch hitting him so hard it made him spew blood, launching him across the entire warehouse with minimal difficulty, the one standing strong above all being Sung Drippy-Woo. Diddy-Woo attempted to heal him with a health potion in order for him to recover his injuries, but the system informed him that it was impossible to use healing potions to recover a being's health if it's under 10%, making Drippy-Woo menacingly ask the two hunters next to him if either of them were healers, threatening them to heal Jin-Ho right now. One of the hunters nervously responded saying he didn't really understand Korean, but Hwang Dong-Soo, recovering from Jin-Woo's blow, translates that he was asking them to heal the guy and asked Drippy-Woo if this was the first time they've met in person. Rizzy-Woo, tired of all the yapping, said that he would only say this one more time, heal him. The healer responded nervously that he should convince his boss first, before he, Drippy-Woo, suddenly grabbed the hunter's face in the fraction of a second, slamming him against a steel pipe. And as he lays there lifeless, the other hunter, scared out of his mind, shouted saying that Dong-Soo never said anything about this job being related to Drippy-Woo, as he asked if he was also a healer. He repeated the question to the hunter, but as soon as he responded saying the word no, he slammed his entire body on the ground with immense pressure. Dong-Soo walked towards Drippy-Woo, saying it was just as he thought. It was you, the one who killed my brother Hwang Dong-Soo. Jin-Ho, on the brink of death, called for his papa, telling him that he was Hwang Dong-Soo's younger brother, saying he should be careful. Drippy Woo looks back at him, responding that he shouldn't talk anymore since soon he would get his revenge. In Solo Leveling, after Jin-Ho laid on the brink of death trying to warn Sung Drip Woo to be careful of Hwang Dong-Soo, he responded telling him he shouldn't talk anymore, seeing how he was barely holding on to dear life. Dong-Soo told Drippy Woo to answer his question, asking if he truly was the one who killed his brother and his teammates. He responded saying to go ask his brother himself, which infuriated Dong-Soo for his response, launching a sudden attack with his right fist at full power. But Drippy Woo manages to dodge the attack with ease, quickly counterattacking with a devastating blow to Dong-Soo's gut, making him spew blood, which suddenly launched him outside of the factory and crashing into a steel beam. Dong-Soo grits his teeth, but without even being able to catch his breath, he quickly looks to his side, seeing Drippy Woo just standing there nonchalantly. Dong-Soo tries to go for another attack, lunging at him once more, but considering how slow he was, Drippy Woo raises his hand, slamming his entire face into the beam, and stands over him like he's his big daddy. He raises the hunter's head once again, as loud slams could be heard from the distance, with Drippy Woo relentlessly slamming Dong-Soo's head into the ground. Thomas Andre suddenly arrives at the scene, saying to stop right there, telling Dong-Soo that he's repeatedly told him not to touch Jin-Woo and asked him if he was still even alive. He responded saying, "For now," making Andre tell him that if he understood English this much, then it would be easier to communicate, saying that if he lets him go right now, he'll let what has happened so far slide. He responded asking what would happen if he were to refuse, making Andre say that if that were the case, then it wouldn't be a request anymore. To the national level hunter Thomas Andre was sent flying by one of Sung Drip Woo's devastating punches. Hunters of the Scavenger Guild asked if he was all right after receiving such a blow. Angered by what just happened, Andre walks past his guild members getting ready to get his second serving. Drippy Woo summons both Igris and Kaisel, commanding them to take Jin-Ho to the nearest hospital and to use any means to make sure he gets treated. As the dragon flies away at full speed, Thomas Andre and every single one of his Scavenger Guild members prepare to go on an all-out war against Sung God Woo and his entire Shadow Army. Andre couldn't help but smile, saying he would finally get to fight a worthy opponent, thinking that he couldn't care less about Hwang Dong-Soo anymore, since there's only one way to redeem his damaged pride: killing that motherfucker. Andre stated that it wasn't too late for him to admit his mistakes and back off, saying that he would at least spare his life if he apologized. But without even a word, Diddy Woo suddenly pulls out his middle finger, basically telling him to go fuck himself. This hit the limit of Andre's patience, shouting that this fucker won't back down till the end, charging up his reinforcement skill, saying that he'll regret not having taken this last chance he had given him. Both armies seem to be ready to fight. Rizzy Woo orders them to advance, making Andre tell his subordinates to prepare, saying they were coming. A full-on war between the Scavenger Guild and the Shadow Army begins. Tankers rush to the front line, deploying their shields, creating an enormous wall blocking the never-ending onslaught of the undying soldiers. Andre suddenly blitzed into the middle of the army, slaughtering multiple shadows in the fraction of a second. Noticing Tusk towering over him with a shield blocking his way, Andre suddenly crushed the ground, shooting his entire body through the enormous shadow, saying those guys didn't stand a chance against him. Slamming through the factory building's roof, seeing that his subordinates were getting one-sidedly beaten by Drippy Woo's army, a hunter tried to slash him, but he dodges with minimal difficulty, noticing the arrival of Thomas Andre. After Thomas Andre noticed that every single one of his guild members were getting one-sidedly beaten by Sung Drip Woo's Shadow Army, he suddenly launched himself towards Rizzy Woo at an incredible speed, but Iron quickly intercepted him attempting to block the attack, though Andre managed to punch him out of the way with minimal difficulty, telling him to move. Andre noticed that Jin-Woo was nowhere to be seen, making him question where he had gone. But he suddenly appeared at his side in the fraction of a second, swinging his dagger at his ribcage at full force. But the attack was unable to even leave a single scratch on him, leaving Sung Drip Woo wide open for a counterattack, making Andre quickly launch a devastating blow to Rizzy Woo's right shoulder, which sent him flying. He asked if he was really trying to look down on the power of a national-level hunter, activating his psychokinesis skill, pulling JinWoo right towards him. Andre shouted, telling him to feel the difference in their strength and despair, making JinWoo lock back into the fight, activating his own unique ability, Ruler's Authority, completely overpowering Thomas Andre's skill. He questioned if he planned on crushing him like this, but it seemed more like he was holding him fixed in place, completely shocking Andre since JinWoo decided to attack even as he was being pulled towards him. JinWoo suddenly managed to land a devastating blow right on Andre's face, launching him across the factory, making him question if he was really bleeding. But without even being able to catch his breath, JinWoo suddenly popped in right in front of him, asking him if this was really the despair he wanted him to feel, launching continuous blows towards him at immeasurable speeds. Tired of the continuous attacks, Andre stated that he would now stop underestimating his opponent, locking back in and activating his unique ability, Reinforcement. After the national-level hunter Thomas Andre was getting a one-sided beating by JinWoo, he stated that he would finally stop underestimating him, activating his ultimate skill, Reinforcement. As a convoy of vehicles drive towards the ongoing battle, the driver tells Adam White that it's about time he explains what the hell is going on. He responded saying that there wasn't any time to explain in detail, but the driver suddenly sensed that there was something wrong, telling Adam White that he might not be able to tell since he's a normal civilian, but if they go any further than this, they'd be risking their lives. Seeing Thomas Andre's transformation reminded JinWoo of Kamish's warning, saying that there were 4 humans who had borrowed the ruler's strength and that it's possible that they are among the 5 who survived the Kamish raid, meaning they might be the 4 national-level hunters, with Thomas Andre being one of them. JinWoo suddenly dashed towards Andre at immeasurable speeds, making him quickly raise his hands for an attack, stopping JinWoo in his tracks, making him wonder what was to come. Andre suddenly slammed the ground with overwhelming strength, utterly crushing the ground in its entirety. JinWoo quickly leaped backwards in order to avoid it. That is, until Andre activated his ability, Capture. The hunters of the Scavenger Guild, knowing the power of such ability, quickly shouted, telling everyone to get away from him. The unsuspecting shadow soldiers were quickly pulled into the black hole, swallowing them in. Shocked by the power of such ability, JinWoo stated that he would have been sucked in if it weren't for his ruler's authority skill, which was holding him in place. Seeing that he was left unscathed, Andre suddenly shot a powerful blast, destroying the building JinWoo was standing on, but he managed to dodge the attack with ease, landing on a steel beam while staring down above him, making Andre state that he wouldn't be missing with his next shot. With the previous attack having injured most of the hunters from the Scavenger Guild, a hunter quickly shouted, saying to move as far away from Andre as possible, in order to avoid getting in the middle of such a gruesome battle. Andre prepared to go after JinWoo, launching himself towards him at immeasurable speeds, and as soon as he was about to make impact, JinWoo instantly stepped on Andre's face, launching himself backwards. Not wanting him to get away, he quickly activated his capture skill, attempting to pull him right towards him. But JinWoo suddenly activated his ruler's authority skill, extending his hand backwards, leaving Andre confused, since he was trying to pull him towards him while accelerating, making him question if he was planning to face him head-on. Andre activated reinforcement on his left hand, saying if that was the case, then he would take him on gladly. A devastating clash ensued between the strongest man in America, Thomas Andre, versus the nonchalant Riz King, JinWoo. But inevitably, Andre ended up losing the clash, which sent him flying through the warehouse with JinWoo following right after him. Andre went berserk, jumping out of the rubble. As JinWoo dashed right towards him, he attempted a counterattack, launching a devastating blow, but JinWoo managed to dodge the attack with ease, grabbing his armor's horns and knee-kicking him right in the face with immeasurable strength, which ended up cracking his helmet. Outside of the warehouse, the Hunter Bureau finally arrived at the scene with both the driver and Adam White in absolute shock, while watching the ongoing battle, asking themselves just what kind of monsters are they to be emitting this much magical energy. The driver explains to Adam that he should really brace himself since being here was extremely dangerous. As the warehouse began to collapse, Adam asked if that was really who he thought it was, making the driver confirm his suspicions, saying that was indeed Thomas Andre. The driver asked what they should do in this current situation. Adam responded, saying that they must stop them at all costs, making the driver ask how the fuck were they supposed to stop Andre from getting the shit beat out of him by Sung Diddy-Woo. Agents of the Hunter Bureau couldn't do anything but watch, since getting in the middle of such a battle would only end in their deaths. As Drippy Woo kept pummeling Andre into the ground, he wondered how. How could a mage-type hunter produce such insane strength and speed? He questioned if he was really going to lose, stating that there was no way that was possible. Something like that could never happen to him. But as he felt every single one of Drippy Woo's blows, he denied it even further, saying that the only thing that defined him was his overwhelmingly oppressive violence. He suddenly stood up shouting that he is Thomas Andre, asking if he really thought this was enough to take him down. That is until Drippy Woo struck him from behind, saying that he had already told him, telling him that it didn't matter who he was. The hunters could only watch as their guildmaster was getting utterly destroyed into oblivion, making Adam White shout, asking and begging for him to stop. But that didn't stop Drippy Woo from pounding him over and over again. No diddy. Thomas Andre was getting hit with blow after blow, punch after punch, relentlessly getting pummeled into the ground. That is until he said the words, "It's over," stopping Papa Woo in his tracks. "I lost," Andre stated. The hunters watch on as the battle ultimately ended in Andre's defeat. Adam White couldn't believe his eyes, saying that to reduce the great Thomas Andre to such a state, asking how many hunters in the world could do such a feat, questioning if there are even any who could do so in the first place, stating that once this news gets out, it will shake the entire world completely. Adam White ordered the healer to heal him as quickly as possible, but the healer stated that every single one of his bones in his body had been broken, and since he had severe blood loss as well, he alone wouldn't be enough for this, saying that it would be better for all the healers to treat him together. The healer stated that it was only because he's a national-level hunter that he was able to survive this long, saying that any other hunter would have died at least 10 times over from this amount of damage, but luckily it didn't look like anyone had died from this devastating battle. Adam White covered his face, saying that at least this was the best outcome that could have occurred. But suddenly, a bureau agent shouted, telling him to look over there, saying that Hunter Hwang Dong-Soo wasn't breathing and that his heart wasn't beating, and that Sung Drippy Woo was nowhere to be seen. Thomas Andre had finally admitted that he had lost to Sung Drippy Woo. The battle was over without a single casualty, for the sole exception of the instigator, Hwang Dong-Soo. Back in Korea, at the top of a building, Rizzy Woo stated that he had used Shadow Exchange in order to swap locations with Baru, and asked the shadowy being next to him if it had been a while since he had been to Korea, saying that what he was looking at right at this moment was the city of Seoul. He stated that as they spoke, Baru was busy healing Jin-Ho to the best of his abilities in America. "My king," the shadow soldier called out, making Papa Woo respond, asking, "What is it?" The general grade shadow soldier kneeled down in one knee, asking him to bestow a name upon him as well. Drippy Woo responded, asking how the name Greed sounded to him, since he had died being a greedy MF, and asked Hwang Dong-Soo what he thought about it and if he liked it. "Thank you, my king," Greed responded, making Drippy Woo order him to put his head back on the ground as punishment for the crimes he had committed when he was alive.